Occasionally Microsoft does things that are incredibly smart, and this story came out, and I feel like it is an incredibly smart thing that they were able to kind of dupe Sony into. So, we'll see if this is something that realistically pays off long term or it actually hurts PlayStation in the meantime. But, like I said, I find this to be a very interesting sort of situation. I don't know if Sony will come back from this. I'm not sure exactly what will happen, but I feel like this should be a pretty good video. What's up, everybody? I'm Crab Gamer. This is Crab Gamer Reviews, obviously, and back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I certainly appreciate it. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. So anyway, this was very interesting because we know that Sony is having a ton of issues with, you know, with Bungie, right? Like Bungie was going to be like the savior of PlayStation. I felt like it was an incredibly reactionary thing that they were going to do, and now this has come back up that Microsoft actually considered acquiring Bungie and Sega to bolster Game Pass, according to these internal emails. So it's kind of funny to see how they kind of passed on it. So Microsoft was looking at acquiring both Bungie and Sega, according to documents in an email scene. Xbox chief Phil Spencer wrote to both Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella as well as CFO Amy Hood seeking strategy approval. So, we'll see how that all kind of worked out or whatever. But they said, we believe that Sega has built a well-balanced portfolio of games across segments with global geographic appeal and will help us accelerate Game Pass both on and off console, according to Phil Spencer back in 2020. Microsoft believes Sega acquisition will drive Game Pass subscriptions across PC, console, and cloud. The global appeal of Sega's beloved IP will help expand Game Pass reach new audiences around the world, most notably in Asia, where localized content is critical to success, according to Spencer in his pitch to Nadella and Hood at the time. Sega would also offer game transactions value for monetization opportunities in the future. So it's not really clear what happened with the Sega acquisition and whether Nadella ultimately approved talks, but in a Microsoft internal April 2021 merger review, Sega was listed as a key target. Microsoft had identified key areas for acquisition in PC, mobile, and console, and Sega, Bungie, Zynga, and IO Interactive were part of the number of companies Microsoft seriously looked at acquiring. Bungie, who of course famously is now Sony owned, was on that list, with Microsoft's internal documentation stating that the acquisition of Bungie will include securing valuable IP, Destiny and its community, and integration of its dev and live ops infrastructure into Xbox Game Studios. Microsoft had identified a, quote, high burn rate risk for Bungie alongside NetEase's $100 million minority stake investment in 2018. It also noted that Destiny was one of the highest hours generating titles on console Game Pass. Hitman developer IO Interactive was on the final watch list in 2021, alongside mobile companies like Thunderful, Supergiant Games, Niantic, Playrix, and Zynga. Microsoft was in talks to acquire Zynga before it ultimately turned its attention to Activision Blizzard for its mobile ambitions. Zynga was eventually acquired by Take-Two. It's not clear if Microsoft had any talks with any other mobile-focused companies. But basically, if you guys hadn't been aware of kind of what's happening, we're sort of seeing a situation where Microsoft kind of decided that the high burn through and things like that with Bungie wasn't going to make for a good purchase asset. And what happened with Sony is they really kind of jumped the gun. Jim Ryan anyway, and this could be one of the reasons he's gone or whatever. I know people like to look at these things in different ways or what have you, but Jim Ryan like literally saw Microsoft was going to buy Activision or whatever, and decided hey, we have to go out there and be competitive and do these types of things, and see what happens. I think it's kind of interesting how these things kind of worked out or whatever, but again, would things have been different had they not been reactionary? I think that would have been a really interesting kind of situation at the end of the day. Would Microsoft be better off? Sony be better off? Like, this is the thing that I have trouble with Sony, right? That makes Sony look kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. when you look at it, right? Sony had Bungie. They brought Bungie. They said, "Oh, well, Bungie's going to be a way better acquisition for us than Activision because blah blah blah, Destiny, this, that, and the other thing." And now we see that the next Destiny game is canceled. People are leaving. It looks like Herman Hulst is going to be in charge of Bungie. It's just not really a great situation for Sony right now. It's really unfortunate, and I feel like they were really kind of tripped up and kind of tricked a little bit by what Microsoft was doing, right? So hey, how can we make a big splash? Well, and it was a big splash, right? So you have Sony buying the company that made Halo, right? I mean, they didn't get Halo, but they bought the company that made Halo and was such an integral part of making Xbox a platform that it is. So when you look at that and you kind of maybe question a little bit what's going on, but not only that, but Sony brings in Bungie. Think about this, right? And Bungie is supposed to be like this expert at live service and things like that. And then what do? They right away they cancel Naughty Dog's game. That kind of causes them to cancel that game. They canceled a couple other games as well, but then they allow Concord to come out like that. To me, that's not really paying attention to the fan base. That's not paying attention to what people want. It's kind of sad, to be honest about it. I feel like at the end of the day, it's a really, really sad situation. And I think that Bungie is a shell of their former selves for a lot of reasons. Some people have asked me, hey, how do you feel, that Bungie is kind of going down the crapper or whatever? And it's like, this is not the same old Bungie or whatever that we've known and loved for a long time, right? This is a completely different type of Bungie, but this Bungie is very much one that is having trouble getting stuff out the door. It's a Bungie that's kind of doing exactly like what Microsoft said, which is the high burn, and I think that really cost them. Not only did it cost them, but it really kind of costs Sony as well, because Sony has really kind of put all their eggs in this one basket, and now they're kind of stuck with what happens. So again, we'll see what happens in the future with this kind of stuff, but I do feel like Bungie is in a really weird space right now. Listen, I was excited years ago when Destiny was announced. We thought it'd be like a cool new take on like something, and they did Halo, and I gotta be honest, nobody was more disappointed with Destiny than me, to find out kind of what it was, like doing the same maps over and over and over again. Like, I thought it was just going to be like this cool single player game with a multiplayer, kind of like Halo, and there was really no story there. There was, I had no idea what was going on. You had to find little things, pick them up, and read, what the story was. So yeah, that was kind of like a terrible kind of situation in my opinion. But I never really got back into the whole thing. With loot and this and that, like the whole thing honestly just did not seem up my alley. So I was always kind of hoping that Bungie would maybe go and do something else. But when you look at the stuff that they're doing, it's like stuff that I'm personally not interested in. An extraction shooter with no story. I honestly couldn't care less about something like that. That weird, inclusive game that they're making, the lighthearted one or whatever, looks like crap. How that would be able to continue pushing, I have no idea. It doesn't sound like it's a very good game to me, so I don't see how that would continue to be pushing anywhere. And then we just see that they kind of are in some big trouble here. So, I don't know exactly what the future holds for them, but I think that Microsoft is probably very grateful at this point that they didn't go all in on Bungie. And, that is kind of a interesting thing, because they're probably, I don't know about laughing behind the scenes, but they're probably definitely thinking, hey, you know what, we dodged a bullet there. While Sony is kind of stuck with, what they have now. I do think Sony has some things up their sleeve. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's not a very good situation to be in. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll link this in the description. You guys can check it out. Do you guys think Microsoft kind of forced Sony's hand here, or what do you guys think happened? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.